Hello, welcome to Casual Veteran Gamer. In the video today, we're going to be looking at how to build a rogue and what happens at every level up. Do bear in mind that this is all for early access, so anything here won't necessarily apply once the main game comes out and as updates get released. So, I've picked rogue. Its origin, I was female for the first three classes. I'm going to be male for the last three. Let's have CVG there. Background, insight and religion isn't so bad. Don't want stealth, we're going to get stealth from being a rogue anyway. We should be able to get up to 7, maybe more, but 7 skills that we're proficient in. One of the benefits of a rogue is sometimes they're known as skill monkeys. Right, animal, handling, survival, insight, persuasion. I think maybe insight and persuasion is fine. Race. There are a lot of choices here. The main thing I want to look for a good race for a rogue is having dexterity +2. It doesn't have to be that, as I'll show you later. So here, dexterity +2, really good. We get proficiency in perception, so maybe we can change one of the skills or change background if you think about having perception, we can change it so it doesn't have perception. Common put to sleep, quite useful. A few of the enemy spellcasters do use sleep. And we get proficiency in these weapons, which is actually good because rogues don't get proficiency in the longbow. Let's go back to class. They get proficiency in light armor, simple weapons, hand crossbow, longsword, rapier, and short sword. From the race, we can actually get the longbow, which is going to be useful because we will be potentially doing ranged attacks quite often. And dark vision, nothing to be sniffed at. Intelligence +1 might come into play if you're using some very specific spells from being an Arcane Trickster level 3. But isn't so important really. If you're going to go with a high elf, picking cantrips, don't pick True Strike. Minor illusion's okay, Mage Hand's okay. Dancing Lights, don't really need that. Blade Board can be okay if you've got nothing else to do with the action. Rare Frost can be alright if you want to try have a chance of inflicting prone. What would I pick? I'd probably pick Blade Ward. But not just the high elf. Here we've got the Wood Elf. The wisdom down here isn't going to be so important in all honesty, but we have a walking speed of 35. It's the highest base walking speed that we have, and also proficiency in stealth. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 skills we're now proficient in if we pick a wood elf, which is quite a lot considering some of the other classes are only proficient in like 4 maybe. Right, tiefling, not going to be so useful without any dexterity. Trow, again this can work. Dexterity +2, don't really need the charisma. We don't get the longbow proficiency though, bit of a downside. And we get a very specific cantrip being dancing lights. I probably wouldn't pick Drow, but if that's your thing, there's really nothing, you can't go wrong with it. Human, well, we get dexterity. Constitution is probably going to be the second thing we want lots of, but the others aren't really so useful, so probably wouldn't pick human. Githyanki, we're missing any dexterity, I would skip it. Dwarf, Constitution, we really need some dexterity, there isn't any here. You could probably make it work, but I wouldn't really recommend a dwarf. Our half elf can work. I'd probably pick dexterity and strength. Different half elves, we're going to have high half elf, the same choice of cantrips. Or we can be a wood half elf. I'd probably pick a wood half elf to get this extra speed and extra proficiency in stealth. Halfling will also work with +2 in dexterity. Then you've got the 2 different sub-races. That's what you want really. So we can get resistance against poison and constitution. That's going to be good actually because we've got dexterity and constitution. Or maybe you want to be naturally stealthy, give yourself proficiency in stealth checks. We're going to get that option to do it, have that from being a rogue, but then we get to choose a different skill to be proficient at. I'm going to be a strong heart halfling because I want resilience here and I want lucky, and I like these skills here. But honestly, there are quite a lot of decent choices. So elf, drow, half elf, either variation, and halfling. Either variation of halfling will also work. So there are a lot of choices for being a rogue. Going to abilities, this is already maxed out on dexterity, which is what we want. We don't need it to be 17. Because notice here, the difference between 16 and 17, there's no change in our ability modifier. We actually get 2 more points to put elsewhere. As I've said before in other videos, I don't want to have any negative modifiers anywhere. I don't need 14 wisdom. It means I can get up to 16 constitution, It's got a +3 modifier for Constitution. In fact, even get up to 13 on Strength, enabling me to jump further. Potentially carry more things as well. Intelligence can be important if you're going to pick Arcane Trickster and certain spells, but I would really recommend, and I'll get there later, that if you do pick Arcane Trickster, you don't pick the spells that require intelligence. You pick other spells that will benefit you. Skills, let's quickly look through what we're allowed to pick. Different choices, we've got quite a lot of choice here. I want Stealth. I've never really seen Sleight of Hand come up in Early Access. It's not really worth picking at the moment. Performance, again, I've not seen Performance come up. I'd rather have Intimidation or Perception. Yeah, I want Perception. That comes up often enough. Other ones that come up, Intimidation every now and again. You don't really get asked for Athletics. So yeah, this is going to be my character. Insight and Persuasion here. Guild Artisan. I am a Strong Heart Halfling. This is my appearance, I'm not going to bother changing that. Class is Rogue. These are my skills. We don't have access to any of these. Not so bad. And abilities. I don't want any negatives. If you don't mind having negatives, let's see what we can do. We could even have 15 in Strength. Well, yeah. Strength is okay to keep adding into because you do get a small benefit for every point. But I don't think it's worth it. Oops, one more. Oh, I'm on there. There we are. So yeah, this is the character I'm going to run with. I'll see you again once I've leveled up to level 2. Something I would suggest for most rogues, apart from having a bow to shoot from ranged, is probably have 2 finesse weapons, both of which are light, because then you can dual wield and attack someone twice. So we got this here. I've got 96% chance, presumably we're going to hit at least one of them. There we are. Hit with both. At the moment, the offhand is doing more damage than it really should be, because normally the offhand weapon doesn't have the dexterity modifier or ability modifier to damage rolls. Shouldn't do, because fighting styles give you that. But yeah, it uses the bonus action to attack though. And just clicking on the monster actually did both the attack and offhand attack in one go. So if you just want to use your action with the rogue, just pick melee attack, even if it's not going to do a sneak attack, it should only attack with 1. Okay, before I show you what happens at level 2, I want to introduce one of the core features of a rogue, which is sneak attack. Now, unfortunately, you can't just attack and assume you're going to get sneak attack. You need to actually click on one of these 2 buttons if you're going to use it in melee or ranged. Now, what is sneak attack, you might ask? Well, you can see here that if you do a sneak attack, as they call it, we get extra damage. In this case, 1d6. Now, to get sneak attack, it is written here when we hover over one of the 2 abilities. We either need to have advantage on the attack, which basically means we're attacking from being hidden, or the other ways of getting advantage, but the main, probably easiest way for a rogue is to attack while hidden, or have another enemy of the target that is within 5 feet and you don't have disadvantage. This is going to be quite common as well, so maybe you might start a combat from being hidden and you get sneak attack then, and in subsequent rounds you get your allies, in this case an Intellect Devourer or one of your other characters in the party. I've got an ally within 5 feet. I've highlighted sneak attack ranged. Let's try and attack. There we are. It worked this time. So yeah, that did work because we've got an original amount here, which is 1d6 plus 3 times by 1d6 times 1 times. Basically, this is the formula to work out how much damage is done. I wonder if in future patches and updates whether they'll take away the formula and just write down how many die you get to roll for your sneak attack. Basically, you can see here it's dependent on level. I've just got to level 2 on the rogue. Let's have a look. We don't get anything to choose from. We're just told that we get the class feature. Use dash as a bonus action, which is useful because bonus actions aren't always used. Though to be honest, you should probably always be trying to hide as much as you can. But it's not always an option. It's just good to have an extra option to use dash as a bonus option. I just quickly want to show you on the rogue, I did a critical hit, and the damage from the bow attack itself, the arrow, got doubled to 2d6, as did the sneak attack, got doubled as well to 2d6 instead of 1d6. So I managed to do enough damage to actually kill someone in one go, which is very useful. So critical hits on a rogue with a sneak attack are pretty powerful. This is the level up screen for a level 3 rogue. and we get a few more hit points, as every class does get every level. And then we get a choice of subclass. So Arcane Trickster or Thief. We'll go through them one at a time. So the Arcane Trickster can essentially use some spells, often from the wizard spell list. Illusion spells they get more choice of. So some cantrips we get to choose. Choose True Strike. Do not do it. It's a trap. It's no good. Right, other things that the Arcane Trickster can take. We can use Minor Illusion. This is fine because it doesn't take up concentration. Probably don't really need an attacking cantrip for damage because we've got our bows for that. Because the ability modifier for all of these attack cantrips will be intelligence, which my rogue doesn't have. Obviously, if you built your rogue to have intelligence, then it wouldn't be a bad idea at all. Let's say you'd put maybe 14 constitution and then strength maybe at 10 and get intelligence up to at least 14, I think. So it wouldn't be so bad. But I haven't, so I've got to go for things that don't really require intelligence. Now, as a halfling, I don't have dark vision, so maybe I could get darks and lights or light. Blade Ward would be okay if I find I can't attack anything and I want to use my action for something and gain resistance against an attack. Acid Splash I think is okay because it can apply the acid debuff to enemies that are in the splash, which lowers the armor class, which makes it easier for everyone to hit. I think I'm going to take that because I wouldn't use this necessarily for the damage it does, but for the other effect. Other things that could be useful, I've already got Githyanki, so I don't need Mage Hand. So yeah, I'm going to take Ray of Frost again in case there's a reason I want to create ice on the floor or put out some flames. This will be useful, not so much for the damage, but it can make enemies fall prone. Spells, we've only got a choice of 4 here, and I think the 2 best spells are already chosen for me. Charm Person, I don't care for that, some of you might like it. The other one is Disguise Self. This is alright, this wouldn't be so bad because this is a utility spell rather than being used in combat, and you can get your rogue to appear like any race and any gender. Colour Spray will be good because it blinds, it doesn't require an attack roll or saving throw. Same thing goes for Sleep. So for the Arcane Trickster, a bit like the Eldritch Knight, you don't want to choose spells that use the intelligence modifier. You want to use spells that just work. Other good choices: Longstrider, cast at the beginning of the day, you've got extra speed. Jump, you can only use it in one battle, but it's actually really, really useful. Featherfall, someone should probably have Featherfall in the party. Find Familiar is fine as well. Grease is good. False Life, if you're not going to be getting temporary hit points for anywhere else. You probably don't need Expeditious Retreat is okay, but the problem is it requires concentration. Whereas you may as well just give yourself a Longstrider rather than using Expeditious Retreat. What else? Magic Missile will work well because it automatically hits. It does the same damage no matter what your intelligence is. What am I going to pick? I'm going to pick Longstrider. I've already got 2 damaging cantrips, even if they don't damage, they have other side effects. Sleep and Colour Spray are really good to help you in battle. So I think that would be my choice for the Arcane Trickster. Other subclasses: Thief. No choices here, so it makes it easy to show you. What we get: Fast Hands, gain an additional bonus action. This is probably the most powerful choice to pick for the rogue. There's nothing wrong with Arcane Trickster. Arcane Tricksters will be absolutely fine. Fast Hands, extra bonus action. This means every single turn you can take 2 attacks and dash or hide, or you could take an attack with the main hand and have 2 offhand attacks. So you can get 3 attacks in one go. And that alone is really strong because you can use this every single turn to dash or hide or jump and dash and then attack, or whatever combination you need. Having an extra bonus action, especially with the rogue who can dash as a bonus action from level 2. The other thing we get, you gain resistance to falling damage. Isn't going to come up too often. It does come up, probably quite thankful you've got it, but a little bit situational. But in the end, for me, the Thief wins out because this Fast Hands, this extra bonus action every single turn, is going to outdo for me the Arcane Trickster, because the Arcane Trickster isn't going to have very many spell slots. To begin with, you gain 2 level 1 spell slots, and they're going to have half as many spell slots. No, sorry. Essentially 1/3 as many spell slots and levels that they can cast compared to let's say a wizard or a cleric. But there's nothing wrong with this. I think Thief is easier, so I'm going to go with Thief. At level 4, your rogue will have the same level up options as every other character, and basically get to pick a feat, which can include an ability score improvement of 2. I would pick this for the rogue. I know I keep saying it for almost everything, all the other classes, but the +1 to dexterity improves your chance to hit with your weapons, your damage with your weapons, your armor class if you're wearing light armor, and your turn order, plus the dexterity saving throws and ability checks. I think it's really strong, especially for any class that relies on dexterity as their main attribute. This is adding +1 modifier to dexterity is always going to be really good because you use it all the time. However, some feats that might be worth looking at: if your dexterity happens to be an odd number, athlete is okay because you can get it up to an even number, and then when you're prone, standing up uses less movement. Not so much of a problem for rogues because you get your bonus action as dash. Defensive duelist: when you attack with a melee attack, you use your reaction to increase your armor class. That's alright, but compared to having +1 dexterity modifier, I don't think it's quite as good. Dual wielder: this could be really useful. Gain +1 bonus to armor class while wielding a melee weapon in each hand, which is going to be quite likely with your rogue, especially when you've got a thief that can use a bonus action to attack with the offhand weapon twice in a turn. You can use 2 weapon fighting even if your weapons aren't light. So all you need to do is find 2 one-handed finesse weapons. It's not like a scimitar or rapier. You've got to have proficiency in them though, so that's a little bit of a setback for the rogue. This is going to be quite decent. Great Weapon Master, I wouldn't take that. Heavily Armoured, you can't take that yet. Lightly Armoured, I wouldn't take that. Magic Initiates could be useful, especially because you get the subclass of a Arcane Trickster. Taking a Magic Initiate, well, Wizard, it gets you maybe a bit less of half the benefit of the Arcane Trickster at the low levels. At high levels, obviously the Arcane Trickster is going to get more and more spells compared to just having Magic Initiate Wizard. But you could pick 2 cantrips that you get for Arcane Trickster and then pick a level 1 spell, such as Jump or Long Strider, be good choices for a rogue. Martial Adepts, you could do this, give yourself some more options, like more variety, but the mainstay for rogue's damage output is the sneak attack, which you won't get if you use your Martial Adept, so probably not very good. Mobile, this is okay, because you will be using dash quite a lot, so difficult terrain won't slow you down, which will help you even more, and you won't provoke opportunity attacks. So this could be useful for your rogue, using the main hand attack and offhand attack in the same turn, and then you can dash and run away, and after doing that, you won't take an opportunity attack, and you'll be able to get away as far as you can, no matter what the terrain is. Moderately armoured, you might want to think about taking this if you find some good medium armour especially. But if you feel like your rogue is getting hit too much, having a shield would be useful, plus you get to increase strength and dexterity by 1. So decent choice if you're worried about defense. Shield Master, I wouldn't get that. You're not going to be wearing a shield yet anyway, until you've got moderately armoured, and even so, just +2 dexterity, +2 bonus to dexterity saving throws when you're wearing a shield. Yeah, not that great when you've got +1 dexterity anyway. Skilled, if you feel like you're lacking, but rogues don't generally lack in proficiency and skills. Tough, right, if you're worried about your survivability, but overall I think +1 dexterity ability is going to be the best for a rogue, hands down. Again, I think I'm a bit biased towards this. Other people might find it a bit boring, because it is a bit, in a sense. It just makes you do what you do just a little bit better, but you can be using it all the time. But yeah, top picks: Magic Initiate, maybe moderately armoured, sorry. Maybe Dual Wielder. The other feats I don't think are that great, in all honesty, for a rogue. So, time for final thoughts on the rogue and comparison of the 2 subclasses. So I like the rogue's damage output with sneak attack. Without sneak attack, it's not so great. However, the comparison between the classes, I think there's a clear winner of the thief. Having an extra bonus action every single turn, allowing you to do lots of things. 2 offhand melee attacks. You can take a dash action. You could jump away and then dash, or dash away and hide. You've got all these options, and in the end, you're going to be doing far more damage than an Arcane Trickster. Now, the Arcane Trickster is, as I previously said, is not a bad choice. In fact, when I first played through this, and I was using Astarion as my rogue, I made him an Arcane Trickster. But I found that, although having the utility of the spells was useful, I was kind of missing not having the bonus action. I was regretting my choice of taking the Arcane Trickster in the end. But having the spells increases utility, which is great. Playing as a halfling, I don't think was so bad. However, what I don't like is I never really found out when the lucky ability came into effect. Whether it just didn't happen, whether I just didn't see it up here, I'm not too sure. Having the low movement speed is slightly annoying sometimes. One thing I did find is that when I'm hiding, sometimes the area that the enemies or other people can see is smaller. And I think it's because he is shorter. So in the end, using a halfling wasn't so bad. Yeah, we can see the difference here. So there's a half elf. You can see the red area down here, which is where okay, they're going to be allies, but where people can see. When I switch to my halfling, that area is slightly reduced, which is going to help with sneaking, so it's not such a bad choice for a rogue. But maybe next time I would take a half elf or an elf with dexterity. Any elf, to be honest. So yeah, rogue, going to be a good choice. You probably want one in your party, and I would take the Thief subclass over the Arcane Trickster subclass. Alright, that's it for this video. If you've got any comments, please do leave them down below, and maybe you want to let me know things I've missed, things I didn't consider, maybe disagree with some of my opinions, and that's alright, you're supposed to let me know all that. Please consider also liking the video and subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one. So let's try and get this to work. There we are. From 1d6 plus 3 dexterity modifier. But they've got resistance? That didn't work out, did it? Right.